Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another indie horror spotlight. I have with us today, he is the director and co writer of a movie that's streaming right now on Tubi, and it's called Evil Lurks. I have with us today Chris Shern. Chris, welcome to the Horror Room, brother.
What up, man? How you doing, Travis?
Good,
Appreciate
man. Good, good.
it.
I had the pleasure of watching your movie over the holiday, but tell everyone a little bit about Evil Lurks.
Evil Lurks is a psychological horror film. People would throw the art house element to it. It's about a woman named Kimberly who been through a lot of things in her life. So she decided to go to this group therapy session, and the therapist, Harold, kind of like focus on her for the most part. And there's certain things happening within Harold that's making him kind of stay focused on Kimberly and do some therapy sessions with her. And within that, a lot of things trigger into her mind, and memories of things, and all these other crazy elements happen within that situation. So
It's
that's what
definitely
Evil is.
It's definitely one of the movies I was watching. I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" 'Cause it's definitely like a mind trip, it's
Yeah,
definitely like a mind trip, and you also did a great job because 'cause you're the villain in the movie,
yeah,
or the
yeah.
yes, like, you did an excellent job because your voice in the movie, it's just gives an eerie tone to it.
Yeah, I call that my 12 midnight voice. Just get the level a little bit deeper. So
Because I was like, the whole entire time I was like, what is he doing? What is his agenda? And then, something tragic happens and you're like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? What
yeah,
the hell's going on? And it definitely keeps you on your toes throughout the whole
yeah,
entire movie.
yeah. It's this movie is definitely a movie that you can't really like multitask and do other things. There's a lot of focusing, and there's a lot of like different flashbacks, and then kind of going to a past situation to occurring, and then jumping back. And it's kind of like a period piece because it goes into it goes from 2005 to 2020 or whatever. So it's definitely like different things are going on, and yeah, it's definitely a mind. It's a mind fuck. It's a mind fuck type of
It really
movie.
is a mind fuck.
You
It's
gotta
like
really,
a
yeah, you gotta really pay
hallucination.
attention. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a
So
hallucination.
yeah. So it's interesting because a lot of it is based on, especially things that me and my wife went to this hypnotherapy show, and a guy called people up to do hypnotize them or whatever. So he called me up, and the thing about hypnotherapy is not a matter of this guy got these magic powers and he snap his fingers and all this stuff. It's just it's a matter of how do you let your mind just go and relax, and then open up things to kind of you know get a lot of things flowing. If you're thinking about 20 million things, it's not going to really work. But you just got to kind of lock yourself in, and that's kind of what that's kind of what hypnotherapy is, and we obviously took it to another level with the horror elements and all these supernatural aspects to it.
And did it work for you?
I let my mind open when he was like, hey, imagine you on a beach. Imagine the beach is cold. So I kind of let my mind go enough to say, I feel cold now because I'm thinking I'm on a beach that's cold. So I think it helps how he say things and how he speaks to you. I think that helps. I don't think someone say, "Hey, all right, close your eyes," but it's up to the person. It's up to you to kind of like let things just open up for hypnotherapy to work, in my opinion. So
And
I took that and then simple basic stuff to kind of build up on the storyline.
because I was thinking about doing that. The hypnosis thing. I've heard it helps. Like when I was trying to quit smoking,
Yeah.
a lot of people who have, I mean, President Ob- Obama apparently with him, like
Okay.
hypnosis helped him quit smoking. So I've heard a lot of people say that hypnosis have quit. I mean, that's the one thing I've heard, is quitting
Yeah,
smoking. A lot of people that I personally know have attest like hypnosis, it helped them quit smoking instantly.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think the main thing, and I'm just, I can't speak for everybody else, but I think the main thing is how much you want people, how much you will want to let in to make that happen. It's like, you know, is it's up to you. It's up to you to if you really want to, if you really want to stop smoking or whatnot and stuff like that. Yeah, you got, if you want someone to help you, understand, and even like therapy in general. You're
Mhm.
talking to this stranger, you're talking to this person, they're asking you these questions, and it's a matter of like, how do you, how much do you want to give them?
Yeah,
And in your mind, if you want to do a certain thing, eventually it may happen or it may not. But you know,
and your
it's
character.
it's tricky and it's interesting. So I've always been intrigued by the subject and about therapy and stuff like that.
Me too, and your character does a great job
Thanks,
on
man.
on getting his clients get over wherever the fuck they're trying to get over. I mean, in a crazy way.
Yeah. No, it's easy to. I don't do a lot of acting, but it's easy when you write it
Yeah,
to
I can
to like
imagine.
to get to do the character and stuff like that. Because I can say, okay, I'm saying this. I'm like, I don't like the way I'm saying it. I'm gonna do something different. Well, a lot of it was scripted. A lot of it was just kind of me, just kind of opening up and just like, making sure like the character is as authentic as possible. And I think, and it's fun playing the villain. I think I'm a nice
Imagine.
guy. I like to, you know, I'm I'm a positive dude. I'm also a musician. I play in a band called Invisible Cartoons, and
Oh,
our
nice.
music is called Smile Rock. This is our stuff. Yeah. So I'm a but I love horror movies, and I like playing. If I'm gonna be in it, I like playing a more kind of troubled character.
Definitely, because I mean, it's great when you see a horror movie or just a villain in
Yeah.
period in a movie, and you can kind of relate. I'm not saying necessarily fully relate with them, but you understand what they're trying to do.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. I mean, I think I think I don't even know what I really got it. I don't know if I want to say if I have anything, because if anybody, because most people who've seen the movie say, "Yeah, Chris, yeah, you kind of dark in that movie." So I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm trying to figure out like what can I relate? How can I relate to Harold, the character, and Evil Lurks? I guess because Carol possessed, because he's possessed by a dark entity
mhm,
known as the Shush Man.
correct.
So I think he wants to be helpful and unlock things out of Kimberly, because Kimberly been through a lot of stuff. But he's also possessed by this character. And if anybody's seen the movie and they seen the character and they see when he's in the bathroom and he's like,
Mhm.
he spit blood out, he's like losing his shit and he's like crying and stuff like that. I mean, he don't really want this, but it's
Yeah,
part of what he's doing. Like when he's telling her I'm sorry and all these other things, yeah, he's like, I'm kind of locked into this. I can't do anything about it. So I think him trying to help as a therapist to unlock these troubled things that's going through Kimberly. I guess I could say I like to
yeah,
have conversation with people when people going through things. I've been through a lot of dramatic things in my life, in my family and stuff like that. And when you don't, when you talk to your family and you want to help them and then it doesn't help, you feel bad about it. But it's like, what else can you really do? I want people to be happy. I want people to have, a fulfilled life. And I try to have a fulfilled life. I'm not perfect, but I guess in some aspect I want to help people. So heroin, heroin
he
want to help
does.
people, but
But he does a
unfortunately,
fucked up way of doing
yeah,
it.
yeah,
But yes.
yeah, yeah, that's the way of doing it. So I don't know. Yeah, so that's what I can relate to heroin. Yeah.
Now, there was a couple of gory scenes in the movie. Now, did you use practical effects for that, or did you go
If
DCP?
if we're talking about certain scenes in a movie, um, most of the stuff was practical. We had some CGI blood, which I personally wish we could have done differently because I really hate CGI blood. I just
I
think,
do.
for my, and we'll talk about if we can, and I want to talk about my new movie eventually.
What's up?
All of it is, I honestly probably 99% of my next film is going to be practical effects. I
Okay.
love practical. I'm 45. I'm be 45 years old.
I'm
So
41, so yeah,
yeah, I grew up in the '80s, and I grew
me
up
too.
on those type of horror movies. So I'm the old man screaming at the clouds at when it comes to horror films, and I love, like with what Damien Leone did for Terrifier and bringing practical effects, to an back to the forefront in an independent realm. That kind of like that's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. But most of Evil Lurk stuff, it is practical, but there's certain elements where there's some CGI blood. But yeah, there's a lot of visual things with the shadows and certain things that we use, special effects for, which
Yeah.
is cool.
It looked excellent. I mean, it looked
Thank you so
excellent
much,
for
man. I
an
appreciate it.
indie film. It definitely looked excellent. Now, as a indie filmmaker, what are some struggles right now? Because all right, so I ask this question with a lot of indie filmmakers, and
Yeah.
everybody tells me a different answer. I've never gotten the same answer twice.
Okay.
All right, what are some struggles right now? And shit, we're in 2024.
Yeah.
Anybody can make especially a horror movie right now. Any and
Oh yeah.
everybody is making a horror movie right
Yeah.
now, and it's easier. I'm gonna say easier to get your stuff up on Tubi or some type of streaming
Yeah.
service or Plex. So, with all that being easy, what are still some struggles right now as an indie horror filmmaker?
Oh, as an indie horror filmmaker,
Yes,
me personally, and this is, I'm on a bunch of Facebook groups and stuff like that. I mean, that's how we met. So
correct.
it's like I interact, but I kind of pick and choose how I'm part of the community, but I also kind of tread lightly of who I correspond with and talk to, and and all and whatnot. And to be honest with you, I think one of the struggles with indie filmmakers, especially horror, they kind of I think a lot of them stick to a status quo and say, okay, this is what we need to do in order to make a horror film and do this and that. I think being independent, we're kind of playing with house money. We got nothing to lose. I think taking chances and trying to be different and original, I think that helps. I think as a artist, we love to create,
Mhm.
but when we try to market, we're terrible. I think most independent filmmakers are terrible at marketing. I don't think I'm the best, and I put more time in trying, like doing these podcasts and putting myself out there. I think that's helpful, and with
Yes.
you and other independent podcasters, is awesome that you guys are putting yourselves out there and promoting independent filmmakers. I think putting ourselves out there and promoting ourselves, that helps. And you know, I'm not going to say money because it's hard to it's hard to make money off your movie, but it's easy to make a movie now. You can get a $1,000 camera that's shooting 4K and make a quality movie. You can get spending a couple $100 on a recorder and mics and record, quality sound, get a location, get 3 actors, and you make a 65, 70 minute horror movie, and you
Yeah.
can make something happen. There's no excuse to not to make film, regardless of what it is. At this point, you can make a sci-fi movie with
You
the
can make
tech.
a found footage. You can.
Yeah,
That's what everybody's
with
doing. Yeah.
After Effects and stuff like that. Like my buddy Nick, he did all the hallway stuff when you see Amanda Winston, who played Kimberly, when she was walking in the hallway. That was all done in my basement on green screen, and then he composited everything and put all the stuff into it. So he did a lot of that. A lot of other elements. I pretty much spent like 5 months learning how to do After Effects, special effects, to do a lot of the other stuff. And then I had a couple of friends here and there do different things to do what we did to make Evil Lurks. Um, so all in all, man, I think independent filmmakers, especially horror, need to try to take chances and really look at the quality of what you're making. Because you get $1,000 4K camera, you can make something so good, so good. I noticed. Okay, it's this guy named John Adams,
Mhm.
and I love this guy. He kind of he don't know he's my mentor, but him and his family, they call themselves the Adams family
Okay.
because his name John Adams.
Yeah.
So his family make horror movies. They've been doing movies, for 10 years. So their last three movies, they finally broke out and done, their own thing. They don't spend a lot of money now. They live in the Catskill Mountains of New York, where they have this backdrop to shoot, amazing footage and make these horror movies. But they're like huge in my eyes. They're not like hot, but they make these quality movies and they put so much time into it and they don't spend a lot of money, but they just make it look so good. And no one's doing what they're doing. I'm gonna be honest with you when it comes to independent, low budget independent filmmakers. And something about what they're doing just I gravitate to that. So I'm proud of what I did, what we did for Evil Lurks, but it's also a learning experience of what I'm trying to do for my next horror film. And I think you know, horror's the thing, man. It's easier to make. You don't need name talent. But if you get like, certain, horror B movie horror like actors from back
Yeah.
then, put them in your movie, you can get some stuff done. I see with all these groups, I see certain actors who was in a movie back in '81 that, their
They're
faces
in
on the
every movie. They're
poster.
in every indie
They're
movie.
in the movie for 5 minutes. Yeah, so it's like it's cool, and it's cool that you can get that if you got enough money to put that all in place. But yeah, man, I think the struggle isn't making movies. The struggle is how do you what can you do to stand out? Like John Adams, he stands out to me. He's making quality low budget horror movies, and they're different and they do their own thing. And I look at that and I watch and I watch a lot of different kind of movies. I don't watch the status quo of horror movies, Friday the 13th, Halloween, blah blah blah. I watch a lot of international horror films. Like my one of my favorite movies. If you ever seen this movie called Inside, is it's a French movie.
Mm.
That movie is visceral as hell. But for my new movie, I just constantly watch that movie's disturbing. I watched that movie, but it was just so raw and so intense and so different in a certain way where I was like, wow. And then there's this other French movie called Martyrs, where people heard of it.
Mhm.
It's a rough movie. It's hard to watch because it's like, torture and just craziness. But it's a beautifully shot movie. And I don't know, man. I watch a lot of those movies, and I watch a lot of, I like to go back to certain elements of movies from the '70s and '60s because I don't know. I love modern, horror movies. I thought Barbarian was cool. I thought
Barbarian
certain,
was amazing.
yeah, Talk to Me was original as hell.
Yep.
You
Have you seen
know,
X?
oh yeah, I seen X, and
X was
X for now.
Earl.
Maxine
Yep.
come and Ty
Amazing.
West. Ty West is amazing. That
I say
dude,
this all the time. Ty
yeah,
West is the best horror director right now.
yeah,
Not
and
me. He is fucking knocking out of the park.
yeah, and I hate using the word. I hate using the elevated horror stuff.
Mhm.
Because everybody was like, "Oh, horror's dumb," blah blah blah, killing, blood, gore. But you just gotta you. The thing about horror is you don't really have a lot of rules. It's not really like people like there's a standard for what you need to do with horror. I'm like, you could. The thing about horror is, oh, and you can tell when people are really, really into horror, and then I just say, okay, let's make a horror movie because that's what people want to see. I say, yeah, if everybody can make a horror movie, people are just gonna get burnt out. Say, oh, another horror movie. But horror is like you could put comedy into horror, you could put drama, you could put action, you could put sci-fi, you can put animation. You can put so many different elements and match that with the horror element, and you can get away with it. And I know I'm kind of
Right.
rambling and stuff
You're
like
fine.
that.
No, but I was gonna bounce off you saying one of the scariest things about doing what I do is when I'm talking to a horror filmmaker and I ask them, just the basic, simple horror questions like, "Who's a horror director you get inspiration from? Or what's your favorite horror movie?" And they have this paused look on their face, and I'm like, "Okay, these are softball questions. Like, are you a
Yeah,
horror fan?" Like, it just makes
yeah,
me like question like, but I feel like because there's no gatekeepers right now when it comes to
yeah,
indie horror, especially everything gets through.
yeah,
I just feel like what you said. I feel like anybody who wants to become a filmmaker, right? Not necessarily
yeah.
horror. They want
Right.
to become a filmmaker. I'll give you the perfect example. In the '90s, when it came to hip hop was the shit. Hip hop
Right.
and was the shit in the '90s. So if you wanted to get into the music industry, you had singers like Pink and Justin Timberlake and
Yeah.
Kid Rock. They all started where? With hip hop.
Right.
And then once because that's got what they're gonna and then once they got famous, they were like, fuck this shit. I want to make what I actually want to make, and that's a
Yeah.
bunch of fucking music.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what horror is. I think that horror is hip hop in the '90s. It's easy, it's the way to get in,
Yeah.
make a film, and then once you do a couple of those, then you can actually make that movie, that romantic comedy or that action
Yeah.
film or whatever
Yeah.
your heart was really into.
Yeah.
But I feel like it bogs down the indie horror scene with a bunch of shit.
Oh, it's the I guess the disadvantages of how easy it is to make content is so oversaturated
Yes.
and there's so much of it, you just kind of get overwhelmed and you're like, man, it's just it's because yeah, back in the day when we used to go to video stores, you had these sections and you read the thing and boom. Now I can spend even more hours just streaming. I got a watch list. I got a Tubi watch list. I still got like 52 movies I gotta watch. I got a Shutter watch list where I got 25 movies to watch. I got an Amazon watch list. So I'm just like, I can't keep
There's
up with
no
this shit, man.
time. There's no
It's
time.
crazy, but it's so much. My and once and I retract back to what I said before. You got to find some way to stand out with your horror movie. You got to find a way to say, okay, what am I doing? What can I do to get away from all this extra stuff that people going this guy's like, oh, how many jump scares can I put in this movie? Or, oh, okay, I'm gonna make a movie about clowns now because Art the Clown is killing. So now I'm gonna make this dude, make this movie, or let me find the best, generic horror soundtrack to put into my, movie and all this other stuff. It's like I can give you it's a obviously he's famous, but it's a perfect example. So Ari Aster, who made Hereditary,
Mhm,
love that movie. That's one of my favorite horror movies, and I
mhm.
love those kind of movies. The movie he just put out, Bo is Afraid. That was what he wanted to do,
That was his masterpiece.
and everyone said,
100%.
yeah, and they
Eh,
said, yo, if you're trying to make a movie, you can't do this. So he said, okay, I'm gonna make this Hereditary.
but
It's
he
set
slid
for
over
yeah,
but he did it gradually. He went from Hereditary to
yeah,
Midsummer
yeah,
to Bold and Afraid.
right,
And Bold and Afraid is that's his 3 hours, his 3 hours
right,
masterpiece. That is you're 100%, that is what he wanted to make. And that's why I feel a lot of, especially in the indies, they have a movie that they want to make
yeah,
in their brain, and it's not a horror
yeah.
movie. But a horror movie is a good starting point.
Oh yeah, it's a great starting point. I love dark comedies. It's funny because I was working on this script, and then I had like 5 pages in, and it was a dark comedy. And when I saw Boys Afraid, I like, damn, this kind of reminds me of the shit I was working on because it was this
Yeah.
absurd world that
Mhm.
that I was creating, and that's what Ari Aster did. And I don't know if you ever seen the original short film Bo, because he
No.
had it on. He took it down off YouTube,
Mm-mm.
so it was an original like 8 minute or 12 minute short film of Bo is Afraid with the black dude. I don't know if you ever say this. If you ever seen, there's something strange about the Johnsons. That's that short film.
Mm.
If you haven't seen that short film, it's a 32-minute short film, but it's something strange about the Johnsons.
I'm writing
Yeah,
down.
yeah, it's Ari Aster's first short film that kind of put his name out there, but it's fucked up. It's yeah, it's fucked up. It's just watch it. It should still be on YouTube. But yeah, just watch it. But yeah, I mean, he had this mindset, and then he did. I think his next movie is supposed to be a western.
Yeah,
From what I
he
yeah,
didn't wanna do
so
horror. He definitely didn't want I'm just you just watch gradually, and you see him
yeah,
steering away from horror,
yeah,
and, I mean, that was his game plan.
yeah. I mean, he even with Hilaire because he's kind of socially awkward, but he's just kind of like, you know, Hereditary is not. It's it's not a it's really not a horror movie. It's like a drama, but with he
Because
just kind of he trying to tell like, nah, dude, that the shit at the end is nuts. You we this
because
is
'Cause it's almost like people forgot that Kid Rock did rap. Like, people completely forgot about that, and they because,
oh yeah,
he's a Trump fan, he's a hillbilly now, country music.
yeah, yeah.
They completely forgot that there was a whole decade there that he was pretending to be black. Like,
Oh no, no,
people
yeah. He was trying to battle with Eminem back because they both from Detroit. I mean,
he was
dude,
even
dude
married
had a
to a
kid
black
and play.
woman.
Dude
He
had a
was even
kid and play box.
Yeah, I mean, he even married to a black woman, he had a half black
Oh
kid.
yeah,
Like, he was impersonating a black man for about 10 years.
yeah.
And then
Rap
once
rock
he
killing it.
was like, once he got a what's it called a fan base. You know who's doing that now too? Post fucking Malone. That motherfucker, he's doing the same fucking thing.
Oh yeah, well he's yeah, he's jamming with Aerosmith and whatnot. I mean, I guess it's a get in where you fit in kind of vibe. I
Yeah.
personally love horror movies. I guess the difference in what I'm trying to do is I don't want to be typical. I don't want to make I don't know what people think about Evil Lurk. Some people like, oh my God, dude, this movie is cool. And then people like, man, I don't get it. What happened? This is weird. I'm confused. Is it real? Is it fake? What happened? What's going on? So, but that's that's the questions that I like because those are the kind of movies I like to make. I mean, it is a mind fuck kind of movie. My new movie, Vic Effects, is a mind fuck kind of movie. And I just like making those I like making those kind of movies. Now I got a drama in my head. I got a comedy in my head. But I love horror. I think some people who do make horror, they just do it because it's like it's the easiest thing to do. And you can kind of tell when you see what they're doing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, I mean, I treat this like I treat my music, man. I've been doing music like, in bands since I was 17. And at this point, I ain't trying to be a rock star. I got 2 kids, I'm married, I got bills to pay. I ain't trying to be, a famous filmmaker. I'm
Love
passionate
to,
about
yeah.
what I'm doing, and there's a certain element of success I want to achieve. But that success doesn't mean I'm gonna be walking the red carpet and be in Hollywood, and all of a sudden somebody give me a deal to make a Marvel movie or something like that. But I have a game plan of what I want to do, and I think at this point in my life, I know what I want out of what I'm trying to do, and I'm willing to take those chances, in what I'm doing moving forward as a filmmaker. This movie, obviously, I collaborated, with this movie, co-writing and directing. This next movie, I sat down and put it all together. I'm self-financing it, and
Nice.
with Evil Lurks, man, I can tell you right now, I'm be straight up. We probably paid less than $1,000 to make that movie. Yeah, we had 30 actors, 30 talking speaking roles. I think we had 14 locations. I think we had 4 reshoots. And then we had a 10-hour day of shooting, and then we lost the location. So we had to reshoot everything because we couldn't do that location.
It looks good. I'm telling you right, it doesn't look like $1,000 movie.
Thank you, man.
But I mean, it looks like, I don't know, 15,000 dollar movie. It really
I'm
does.
with
It,
shit. I
it,
wish I had 15,000 for this one. This next one.
Now, I do have a question to ask you before we
Yeah.
talk about your next project. As a black horror filmmaker, is it hard? Like, for instance, watching Evil Lurk, I don't even think I looked at when you and I were communicating. I don't even think I even looked at your profile picture to
Yeah.
see who you were or anything. I was
Yeah.
just, oh, movie, okay, man. So, is it hard to make a film horror movie where it's not a black horror film. 'Cause I feel like a lot of black horror filmmakers feel like I have to make a black horror film. And that somebody watching from the outside could be any race or person knows that, oh, a black person definitely made
Yeah.
this movie.
The thing I love about being black, especially now in this day and age, because I think we're in a I think we're in a good place. I know social media can make things seem whatever, but we have insane amount of opportunity.
Excellent.
I make movies, the movies I want to make, and I happen to be a black man. I know for a fact, black people that that especially those Tubi groups. Don't
Yes.
they ain't watching Evil Lurks. It's too
No.
fucking it's too artsy. And I love black people because I'm black. I don't care whatever. I'm married to a white woman. I got mixed race babies. But at the end of the day, I'm black. I'm still a Negro.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, them black folks ain't watching Evil Lurks.
No, they're
Them
watching
weirdo
Please.
ass
Yeah.
artsy white folks are watching my movie, and I'm cool with that. I make art house weird, abstract, experimental horror movies. I know that. That's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I know what kind of movies I'm making. I'm making a movie about a Foley artist. I tell them people I'm making a movie about a Foley artist. What is a Foley artist? What's a Foley artist? People like, what is Foley art? Like they make sound effects for horror movies or movies. Oh, that sounds boring. Effects in it. Somebody getting shot. It's like I'm not making hood movies, man. And it's like
Are there gonna be any big booty bitches in the movie? Yeah.
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Some big old booties in there. Like, no, man. I'm wearing a monster suit. My booty pretty big. But I mean, that's it. That's all you get, bro. I'm making a movie about somebody squeezing an orange to make somebody's head like sound like their brain is getting squished. That's the movie I'm making. So, but that is the movie I'm working on right now. But yeah, I think it's to our advantage as black folk making movies and just especially horror movies because you don't see a lot. Okay, here's the thing. I love Jordan Peele. I think Get Out is awesome. Get Out's not a horror movie. It's a thriller. That's all I'm saying. Us is could have been a phenomenal movie. Certain
Urban,
pieces
yes.
of that movie, certain pieces of movie. I think he's a phenomenal director. I
Yes.
think the last two movies to me felt unfinished, and there wasn't a full thing. Did I like? Did I like Nope? I didn't like. Did I like Nope? Nope.
No, I didn't either.
I thought visually it looked phenomenal. But when Jordan Peele put out one really good movie, win an Oscar, and he's like, the new visionary of horror. This is not me saying. That's what they say about Jordan Peele. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I think he's fantastic. He do got a white mama, so that don't count.
But
He
I did
do.
a whole rant video. I don't know if you saw it. It's on my YouTube channel. And I
Yeah,
was said, who are Jordan Peele movies for? You know what I mean? I was like, who are they for? Because you ask anybody of another race who's not black, they'll say, oh, it's for black people.
yeah,
That's what they will say.
yeah.
Black people don't like Jordan Peele movies.
No, they like Tyler Perry movies.
They
That's a
like Tyler
fact.
Perry movies, but black people are not going to see Jordan Peele movies and are paying
No,
money. Those millions, hundreds of millions of dollars that Jordan Peele number one at box office, it's not coming from black people.
yeah, no. Well, I mean, to to be
Some.
to be fair, when you talk about concerts and when we talk about hip hop artists, I've been to enough hip hop shows, bigger hip hop shows like Kanye and all these other guys, and I look around as I
Oh,
see
it's a lot of
mostly
white
white.
people. Yeah, it's mostly white
They
people.
they I mean they're the majority of our population, especially in this country. That's just a fact.
Yeah.
So that's what's going to happen regardless. But when you talk about content and what people watch, and you look at the three movies that Jordan Peele put out, I mean, I think a lot of black folks did see Get Out. I
Yes,
think
they
there was
seen
a
Get
lot
Out.
more socially, and I know he has a lot of social consciousness with stuff that he puts out, and that adds to that element.
Mhm.
But I mean, like if Spike Lee put out a horror movie, that would be dope. I love Spike Lee. I know he kind of fallen off a little bit. Even though, Black Klansman was a phenomenal movie, I think.
Excellent movie. Excellent movie.
Yeah. I wish Spike Lee would do a damn horror movie. That'd be, I think he'd kick ass. He's one of
Oh,
my,
see,
like
John
Spike
Singleton.
Lee. Yeah, Spike
I love.
Lee. Um, um, Barry. Oh man, forgot his last name. You ever seen the movie Moonlight?
Yes, Moonlight is excellent.
Yes. And I forgot his first name is Barry something. I forgot his last name. Um, Barry Jenkins.
Okay.
He put out 3 movies in the past 15 years, so he don't make a lot of movies.
Mhm.
That guy is. It's funny when people say, "Okay, you didn't ask me the question. Who's my, who's my favorite horror film directors or whatever." Well, I can say a couple of my favorite. He's one of my favorite film directors, especially in the last 15 years. If you see certain elements of Evil Lurk, especially when they're in the bar and you see us talking to the camera and
Mhm.
it's right there, I
Yep.
took a lot of those shots from from Moonlight because he did a lot of these kind of crop shots where he just kind of
Yeah.
the camera's right there and he just stay looking at the camera and the camera is the perspective of the person and then it goes back to that person. So when they looking at the camera, they're looking at that person they're looking away, from looking at, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So in the
I
bar
definitely
scene
noticed that.
where he lurks, there's these shots where I'm looking at the camera like I'm talking to Kimberly, and then
It
she looks
zooms
back.
right into you and then jumps
Yeah,
to her.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I took a lot of that from the movie Moonlight and how he set up how he blocked the shot to set that up. A lot of my movies, David Fincher. I People would say Seven is a thriller. I think I think Seven's
It's
a
horror.
horror thriller, and I
100%.
think David Fincher's like I think it's a horror thriller, and he's
I agree.
that guy is that guy is
Yeah.
a god to me. So he's one of my inspirations as far as filmmaking and whatnot. And yeah, man, and I take a lot. Like I don't draw, and one of the things, the beauty of the internet, I make a picture book, and I take different shots and different angles from movies that I like, and I put it in a folder. I'll look on Google, and then I set it all up. So the person who's my DP, I'll line up the picture and say, okay, this is storyboard. These are the shots I'm looking for, and then that's kind of and luckily he grasps what I'm trying to say, and then we lock in, and then those shots. So a lot of stuff I do as a filmmaker goes more so to other filmmakers that's not in the horror genre. Now I love Hitchcock. I think Hitchcock is I take a lot of stuff from my newest movie. I took a lot of stuff from Hitchcock. I can't name you the directors from the movie Inside and Martyrs. I don't French
Yeah.
names. I don't so I don't. But I take a lot of that stuff and I put that towards I mean, even though that guy should be in jail right now, Roman Polanski's a good director.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he was a director and
Rosemary's
a
Baby
good
is very,
person. Yeah.
yeah. So and yeah, man. So yeah, I I take inspiration from a lot of director that's not in the horror genre, but the type of movies I'm trying to make isn't like full on, like, oh, I'm gonna making a crazy horror movie, but I am making a horror movie within certain things with this new one. But yeah,
Tell us,
Evil Alert,
yeah, so
different things going on with that.
I'm about to say, tell us a little bit about your new movie.
So I've been since September of last year. I've been working on this new movie called Vic Effects. So it's about a Foley artist. A Foley artist is someone who makes sound effects for movies. So she so happens to make sound effects for horror movies, and her name is Victoria Paulette, but the people call her Vic. So the movie is pretty much her. She's a she makes horror. She makes sound effects for low budget horror movies, and she has an engineer named Coop. Um, and yeah, that's their job. And then this person, this famous kind of controversial filmmaker comes into their studio and talks to them about this movie that he has, and the Foley artist that he used to work with passed away, so it's an unfinished movie. So they asked Vic, he asked Vic if can you finish doing sound effects for this movie, and the person who passed away is Vic's inspiration, this guy named Thomas Raven. So she gets a hold of the footage, and then also she started building these sound effects for this kind of interesting movie. And then one thing lead to another, and all these things that she's creating within this movie is kind of coming into her reality. And then chaos ensues. So it's pretty much it's a mockumentary because it starts out as a documentary talking about Vic being a Foley artist. So we do like behind the scenes, and it's like and we shot it like a documentary. So it's like a mockumentary slash anthology because we cut into all the fake we create all these little fake movies that she's making sound effects for. And a lot of these fake movies are relates to these things that's happening in Vic's personal life as she's doing it. She unconsciously don't know that, but that's what happened. So it's like a mockumentary slash anthology, and then the wraparound of her being in the studio and then creating these movies, creating these sounds. And then when she get a hold of the movie of the Foley artist who passed away, all these other things trigger and everything just kind of come together and chaos ensues. So I've been working on that since September. We come back shooting at the end of January. I'm hoping to have everything shot before spring or early spring. And then to be honest with you, I don't know what's gonna happen. We're gonna do, I think in post production we're gonna do a little crowdfunding to get more things out of it. Cause I'm really putting a lot into this, into this movie. It's funny because it's a we're doing a lot, but we're doing it on a smaller scale. Like I'm spending more money doing this stuff than I did with Evil Lurks, but we had more things we did. But we also had people who's like, it's one thing, when people volunteer their time to help make a movie, make come to life. But it's another thing putting 8, 9 hours into a day. I want to give you something, and that's what I want to do moving forward as I keep creating movies. My goal is to make at least 3 movies in the next 4 years. That's the goal. But with Vic Effect, yeah, it's an interesting. I think it's an interesting concept. There's a couple of movies that kind of have this, a Foley artist, whatever that I've seen or I researched to see if there's other things like that. But it's this movie called Barbarian Sound Studio. I think it came out in 2013. It's about a Foley artist who whatever. And then this other movie with John Travolta back in the '80s where he played I think it's called Blowback. I think a Blowout, and he was a Foley artist. But that was just his profession, and certain things happened. It was like a crime thriller. But I'm like, hey, I used to do short film, sound design for short films. And I was doing this sound effect where this woman was in a lake and she came out the lake and came back and, killed the guy. So I had to do this walking motion where she was kind of like, feet are wet or whatever. So I like put these towels like on my feet and was doing these sounds just to get to create the
Nice.
sound effect. And then right when that happened, I felt something behind me. I'm like, what the fuck was that? And then right then and there, something popped up, and I was like, "Oh shit, this would be an interesting movie." And everything came, and it was just sitting down and trying. Okay, how can I type up a script and come up with like a 75, 80 minute movie?
Mhm.
So it took me a while to like write the script and get the ideas. And I like writing scripts, but it's kind of a pain in the ass sometimes, especially when I get the actors in, and then we follow the script, but I also want to know I follow them as well, and like what's gonna make it more authentic and work.
It doesn't sound right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a like, oh, this is how it needs to be. Like, how do you feel about it?
Yeah.
Take your time. Let's keep it natural and let's make it work and stuff like that. Evil Lurks for the most part followed the script, but there was certain things where we just kind of like, all right, how do you feel about this and all that, whatever. So long story long. Yeah, so Vic Effect is the next, is my next feature. Um, yeah, I'm excited about it. I like I said, man. I'm making a movie about a Foley artist. I mean, I don't. There's not a lot of stuff, and I'm making all these fake movies. So I'm kind of so I'm kind of hoping. You know, it's funny because if you've seen the Grindhouse movie with Tarantino and Robert Rodriguez,
Love it. Love it.
there was a fake trailer for the movie Thanksgiving.
But not only that,
And then,
Machete
yeah,
was in it too, and it
yeah,
became a movie. Yeah,
yeah. So I'm making these fake. I'm making these fake movies in hopes if there's a certain character in this movie that I'm hoping I can make my slasher, my Jason, my Michael Myers, my within the movie I'm working on now that I can create something within
smart
that.
man. That's smart.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
smart.
So when I say filmmakers are bad at marketing, that's my marketing plan. That's my ploy of like I'm creating this movie Vic Effects, but I'm also gonna make trailers and posters and merch for the fake movies. So that's gonna be my marketing plan of how you're diving into all these different realms of this movie.
See if it gets any traction.
Right. So that's how I'm approaching what I'm doing with this movie.
And by the
Yeah.
way, going back to the whole marketing, indie filmmakers, you guys definitely have to get out there and do as many. I'm not saying podcasts. Do as many horror podcasts as
Yeah.
possible, because I see a lot of indie horror. They go on a fucking tech or uh, something that doesn't deal with horror
Yeah.
podcast, and I'm like, why
Yeah.
the fuck are you on there for like that? And you can see that the host is like looking at look at them like they're crazy. They're looking at them like they're crazy. I'm like, because they don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. I unfortunately had to deal with that with things when it comes to stuff like that where I'm just like, does this really kind of make sense to, like, yeah, you should be focusing on people who deals in horror. Like,
Yeah,
because I saw you in the group, so so I reached out, and it's funny because when I saw you, I was like, wait a minute, I think I've seen this dude's. Because I'm on YouTube. I'm on YouTube. People on TikTok and all these other.
hmm
I'm on YouTube at least 6 hours a day. So I saw one of your podcasts before, and I think when I saw you in the group, I was like, oh wait, I think he looks familiar. Because I'm
okay,
always searching. I'm always looking horror
yeah,
podcasts. So I'm always looking for people, like, man, I think that's important. And I think,
it is.
I mean, it's funny how you want to make movies and you want people to see your stuff. And then when you do interviews, you're socially awkward as hell and you can't
That
talk.
happens too.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why, but I think that's especially when they want you to be on their show, like, hey man, come on out, let's talk about your movie. And
hmm
I mean, like I'm proud of what we did for Evil Lurks, but I learned a lot from Evil Lurks. And Evil Lurks, I because we started shooting that movie in 2019. And
Wow.
then 2019 we started shooting it. We shot it for 6 months, and then we had to edit. And then, like I said, it took me 5 months to learn how to do visual effects because I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know
Mhm.
what the and we made a 3.5 minute trailer because it was like, all right, we need to put something out. And you shouldn't make it ever. His independent filmmakers don't make a 3.5 minute trailer. Make a 90-second trailer. Don't
Quick
be
and yeah,
yeah,
quick to the
yeah,
point.
knock him in the throat for 90 seconds and call it a day. Because I am premiering my teaser trailer. It's like 47 seconds, so it's not 90 seconds. My teaser trailer for Vic Effects this week. On my birthday is January 10th. So that's my
Early
so hey,
birthday.
it's my birthday. Watch my trailer. That's
Yes,
a present for me. So I'm releasing the 40-second trailer for a 40-second teaser trailer for Vic Effects this
on
next
YouTube.
week. Yeah. Huh?
So, are you releasing on YouTube or on?
Yeah, I'm gonna release it. Like one of the things I do, I release it on YouTube. And one thing, because Facebook is weird. Like when I release a link, the algorithm mess up things, and like two people
It
see it.
does.
So what I do is I take the footage and just dump it onto my page, and then I put the link under it, or I put the
Okay.
link in the comments. So I mean, you want all those groups too, and we're
Yeah.
friends on Facebook. So
Yep.
yeah, so I'm gonna
I'll
put that
find it.
on it, and I'll post a link on YouTube. So hopefully I can get some more views on that. But I just want people to see it. But Yeah, so I did we did a 3.5 minute, like, I call it an audio visual. I'm like, this ain't a trailer, but it's funny because we won a couple of awards for it, and I'm like, oh, that's cool,
That is fucking awesome.
build it up. But we did our, so long story short, we did our premiere in 2022, and then it finally streamed on Tubi around this time last year. It was like a day before my birthday of last year. It streamed on Tubi. So you look at, that's a 4 year process of us working on this movie, and the original cut was 2.5 hours.
And I'm glad you definitely took your time because
Yeah,
it came out with an excellent project.
thank you so much, man. I appreciate it, man. I'm really proud of that movie. But I am that person who's like, oh, I could have did this better. I could have did this, man. And I learned so much from that to what I'm doing now with Vic Effects, which I'm hoping is a 75 to 80 minute movie. That's gonna be a lot shorter. I'm not making any 2 hour horror movies anymore. That's silly.
Well, Chris, we learned a lot in this interview. We learned that you and get some shit from the Black to be a, a Facebook groups because you said that they only want to see what do you say, big ass bitches and
Well, no,
letting them jump.
to be fair, no, no. To be fair, I don't want to. I don't want them motherfuckers coming at me because they gonna destroy me. I'm just saying they're not watching no art house horror
They're
psychological.
not. They're not.
They're not. I mean, I'm not, and I'm not gonna be. I'm not gonna be. I don't post anything on there because I don't think
Well,
they
I
don't.
used to post stuff. I used to post stuff. I used to post because like I'm looking like, oh, it's Tubi horror black groups, and
Yeah.
I'm a black guy with a horror. I thought, oh, well, let me post my stuff on it. I get no love in the groups. I really
Yeah.
don't. I get no love.
Oh, but see, here's the thing. There's Tubi horror. There's horror on Tubi,
Hmm.
which I used to post, but I get
I
like
used to
three or
post in
four
that one
people.
too.
There's
Nothing.
Tubi, but there's a Tubi group
Yes,
as
there's
well.
tons of
I don't
Tubi
mess
groups.
with the Tubi group, but the
I don't mess with
Tubi on
anything
horror,
Tubi now.
yeah,
Anything
Tubi on
Tubi groups
horror,
is a waste of time.
yeah. I mean, the Tubi on horror is cool. It depends on the situation. I get a lot more traction on the independent horror groups, or it's a new group called Strictly No Budget that I really like. I mean, because I don't, my budget ain't huge,
I got
and
blocked out of that group. By the way,
yeah. So
I just
so
recently, I actually recently got blocked out of that group. By the way,
oh, you did?
I'll tell you off the camera. That's
Oh,
why.
okay, okay. Oh, that's what. Yeah, yeah. The admin, he's an interesting
Yeah.
dude. It's all love for me, man. It's all.
All
Yeah,
right,
I'm all
listen.
love, brother. I'm all love.
Me
But
too,
but
bro.
yeah, man. Groups are weird, man.
They're
Groups are weird.
weird, especially if you get an admin who's like on a pirate trip and like it's weird. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
But Chris, where can everyone find you, my friend?
All right, so everyone can find me on. I'm mostly on Facebook and Instagram, so you can look me up. Just look up Chris Shern. I mean, it's like me and this other white dude that's named Chris Shern. You can look us up. My website will be. I'm gonna work on my website this year. You can look at Invisible Car. I'm not YouTube.com/Kissing Castles. That's my production company. I do all my music videos, all my video content, my movie stuff on there. If you're into fun, happy go lucky, rock music, smile rock. This is my band, Invisible Cartoons is our logo. You can go into invisiblecartoons.com, look us up on YouTube, youtube.com/invisible cartoons. You can look on YouTube/Chris Shern. I got a couple of short films that I did with that. Yeah, man, my rock band and my movie stuff. That's pretty much what I'm focusing on, and I'm excited about what's to come, and I'm excited about. I love the future of low budget independent horror, filmmakers. Yes, we want to make some money. We want to put our stuff out there, but we have so much access to gear and things to make movies. And
And
a lot of things are getting weird with Tubi, and I hate to say it, but they're gonna become Netflix eventually, and they're gonna cut a lot of the content off of Tubi,
yes.
which is it's unfortunate, but that's how it goes. You move on to the next shiny thing that pops up for independent filmmakers. I'm an independent filmmaker. That's what I'm all about. And people like you, Travis, man, there's we have there's some type of motion happening because of you guys and what you guys do for us as independent. Give us a platform to talk about our content, and I greatly appreciate you, brother,
I
for sure.
appreciate you, man. Listen, I'm 100% passionate. I was in the 80s, man. I was in the video stores getting the full moon videos,
Yeah,
horror films, and those were indies, man. And I always have a piece of my heart is always with the indie horror scene, man.
yeah, man.
And
I
you,
love
you
it.
guys definitely need that spotlight.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, please go out check out Evil Lurks. It's on streaming on Tubi right now. Great time. Follow my man Chris. Chris, you're more than welcome to come back on any time, man. Listen,
Hey, man, when I'm getting thick into Vic, man, I would love to come back on. That would
I'm
be
back
awesome.
on, man. Come back
Thank you
on.
so much, brother.
All
Appreciate
right.
you.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.